So hi everyone, this is a video that I couldn't wait to make, but all for the wrong reasons. So please excuse my hair. I don't know why the camera's all facing down the way, it should be facing up the way. So yeah, I'm just giving you a warning. There may be trigger warnings, and this video may make you upset, especially if you have autism. But that is why I'm making this video, because I am very angry and very upset. So if I do get upset in this video and have to pause it, I apologise. ABA therapy. Anyone with autism will know exactly what I'm talking about. So the last few weeks I have had loads of videos by, and I'm going to call them pricks, or just people who are severely misinformed, that autism is curable. And to quote one guy that said to me, you should be cured of your disease. Now, disease is completely the wrong term to use for autism. Autism is not a disease. Autism is a developmental disorder. So I was born with autism. It's because of my brain. My brain does not have the same connectors that someone without autism has. I will do another video explaining that in way more detail when I have my complete facts straight from my notes. I can't remember things off the top of my head. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a psychiatrist, but I am someone who lives with autism. So I know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about ABA therapy being dehumanizing and inhumane. It's basically like training a dog. And I'm sorry, I wouldn't even train a dog that way. So yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about. To go into more detail, what is ABA therapy? So ABA therapy stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. Right, so when you first look up ABA therapy, you're like, so basically it's like teaching a child normally. So like you're teaching a child that they can't maybe get what they want all the time and things like that, but it's definitely not like that. So ABA therapy was invented, and I'm going to use the word invented, by behavioral theorists. So it was invented by a psychologist and a doctor called Dr. Ivar Lucas. I had to look down on his name there because I don't even want to remember this dude's name. And this was in 1987 at UCLA. This therapy is still widely used, and especially in America, I've found. I've found autism treatment centers. And just thinking about that makes my blood boil. It really does. And I don't know if people can tell by my face that I am literally fighting the urge to scream at the camera right now. And yeah. So basically, when this therapy was first used, they believed that they could stop people with autism showing autistic behaviours like stimming, and stimming comes in loads of forms. It could be rocking, it could be flapping, it could be humming, which for someone with autism is very comforting and therapeutic. It's how we cope with the outside world. And I do rock when I'm anxious. And if someone was saying to me, don't do that, if you do that you will be punished, which is basically what ABA therapy is. It believes that you can teach the autism, coping mechanisms that we use out of the child, because to the society it's not appropriate. So they believe in punishment and reward. And I'm not talking about normal parenting. I'm talking about really, really harsh things. I'm talking about if the person's flapping, they'll be holding their hands down. I'm talking about if they don't respond when they're told to respond. Now, bear in mind, someone with autism, there's sometimes a processing delay. So we hear what you say, we need to think about what you say and then respond like any human being. But for someone with autism, this could take a bit longer than what some other person might do. So they said if the child doesn't respond, oh God, right. What I read on the website was if the child doesn't respond to the command, they would be punished. And to me, this is like reading a dog training manual. If the dog doesn't respond when it's called, you punish the dog, you hit the dog. Now, in my mind, you wouldn't even hit a dog, let alone a child. So, and I'm getting more worked up as I'm talking about this, and I'm really going to get pissed off. It's 2019. This isn't 1987 anymore, when this guy came up with this therapy. This therapy is detrimental to people with autism. For me, if I was going through ABA therapy, thank God my mum saw sense and actually never put me or my brother through that. For me, if I went through ABA therapy, and I'm actually going to start tearing up, that would be the most horrific experience that I could go through. I can't even imagine it. But for me and my brother, that would have been horrific. But for someone who maybe doesn't even understand what they're doing wrong, that surely is child abuse. Surely that's child abuse. If you're telling your child, don't flap, stim, respond when they're like, but I am responding, but you've not given me enough time to respond, and they're not understanding it, surely that's child abuse. How could anyone think that is not abuse? Is absolutely beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. And yeah. Oh my God, this is gonna, It angers me in 2019 that this is still people's mindset. It really does. I can't even express it myself. I can't, And I am saying this to any parent who might be watching this video. If you put your child through these sorts of therapies, you're not doing the best interest for the child. You may think in your mind that you're doing the best interest for the child, because when you read these websites, and I know for a parent, I've spoken to my own mum about how she felt when me and my brother were diagnosed. My brother was diagnosed when he was like 5-6 years old. This was back in the 90s. I was diagnosed in 2009. And my mum even said herself that even back in the 90s, that she stopped reading autism books and books about autism because she was angered by what they were saying. And she, for herself, said, this is my child. Why would I want to change my child? And I'm saying this, and I said this to a guy last night when he said to me that I need to be cured of my disease, and I'm getting very, very annoyed. I said to him, so you want to drill my head out, take my brain out and pop a new brain in, because that's the only way you will cure autism. And yet these ABA therapies say, oh, well, look at the child before and look at the child after. The child's not flapping anymore. The child's not doing these autistic behaviours. And I don't even like saying autistic behaviours. For us, they are normal, and that's how we cope. Just like any other person. Like a person who maybe comes home from a stressful day at work and has a drink or a smoke. So how would they feel if I put you in intense therapy and said every time that you said you wanted a cigarette or a drink or were stressed, I'm going to slap the hell out of you so you don't do that behaviour anymore? I don't think people would be too thrilled. But yeah, I got very angry, and I am not going to give these websites any more views by researching this, because autism cannot be cured. Yeah, you may look at the results and it might say look at the child before and look at the child after. Oh, they're not exhibiting these behaviours. What's that done to the child? What's that done to the child's mental state? And I know people who went through this in the 90s. And yeah, it's not a good thing. And it does not give true results. And yeah, it may look like on paper, oh look, we've stopped these behaviours. Maybe speak to the child when they're an adult, or speak to a child as a person, not a dog, not an animal, and ask them, how do you feel when you're going through this? How do you feel when you're being punished for something that you don't understand? Then come back to me. And come back to me and tell me that this doesn't have a detrimental effect on people's mental health, and a detrimental effect and trauma to the child who is now going to go into adulthood. And what angers me even more in 2019 is we still have websites, we still have companies selling parents autism cures in tablet form. And I done some research briefly, and I mean very briefly, because I will get very, very angry. And I went on Autism Speaks, and any person with autism will know what Autism Speaks stands for, and the company themselves. And they said the two main tablets to help with autism are risperidone and, I can't even pronounce this properly, aripiprazole, and I'll put them up on the screen. These tablets are prescribed for people who have schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, who are very extreme psychological disorders. What is this doing if you're prescribing this to someone with autism who does not have a diagnosis of schizophrenia or bipolar? I'm not talking about prescribing them for people who have these disorders. This is drugging children and adults. This is not what we should be doing in 2019. And I'm going to get very annoyed. I went on another website and they said there's no medication to help or cure autism, which is true. Autism isn't something that should be medicated, but they said the three main drugs that are prescribed to people with autism are ADHD medication, which some people also have a diagnosis of ADHD, but that's the only time that's prescribed. Anxiety medication, again, only prescribed when someone is diagnosed with anxiety. And antidepressants, again, only prescribed when this person is diagnosed as depressed. For someone to be going around and telling parents that especially these schizophrenia and bipolar drugs are to be prescribed for someone with autism is disgusting. And Autism Speaks, you are disgusting. And what popped up when I'm on that website is, please give me your feedback. And you know what feedback I typed in there? As a person with autism, I tell you to fuck off.